Hey, what is going on, guys? RZ Stealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 common mistakes that low elo top laners make. So in the past, I've done a video like this for the jungle. I've also done one for 21 laning mistakes that low elo players make. So if you haven't seen those ones and you'd like to, I will leave an annotation on the top right hand corner of the screen, but this one here is just going to be 100% focused towards top lane. And then just before we get started here, as being part of the League Partner Program, Riot sent me over one of their new LCS jerseys. They've also given me a code to give away to one of you guys for a free LCS jersey. So they've just recently come out with their new LCS jersey store. So this is the store here. They've got stage jerseys. They also do have player jerseys as well that you can buy. And then they also do have customizable jerseys that you can put your own summoner name on the back of. So I will be giving away one of these authentic team stage jerseys. You get to choose whichever team you want, and just to make clear here though, this is for US only, unfortunately, and if you do end up winning, you do have to pay the shipping as well. So I think the shipping is like $8 for one of these jerseys if you do live in the US, so just keep that in mind before you do enter into the giveaway. So link will be down in the description below to the giveaway along with the new LCS store that Riot has just released. So if we get into the video now, the first common mistake is that a lot of players don't know when to group or when to split push. So top lane is usually the role that is going to be split pushing throughout the mid to late game, and the role that is going to be going down bot lane and just controlling the bot lane side lane. Now, depending on the champion you're playing though and the state of the game, you either do want to look to split push or you do want to look to group. So once it does reach the mid to late game, the top laner, because they do run teleport, they should be the one that is controlling the bot lane side wave. So you should be the one that makes sure bot lane is pushing out. And then once you do get bot lane pushing out, you either have to decide if you want to continue to split push or if you want to group. And depending on the situation, you are going to choose one or the other. So I would be looking to group with your team if you are very far ahead. If every one of your teammates is far ahead in the early to mid game, then just grouping with them and not allowing them to get caught out and not allowing the enemy team to get any shutdowns or get any free kills is going to be the best way a lot of the time to close out games. Games are thrown a lot of the time by just teammates splitting up, getting caught out, the game extends, the enemy team ends up scaling, and then they're right back in the game. So just grouping when you do have a massive lead is going to help you close out games a lot easier. So you should be looking to group if you are playing a high CC champion or if you do have an impactful team fight ability. So a champion like Maokai, Malphite, these tankier champions who do have strong crowd control, you should always be looking to group with them. You shouldn't really be looking to side lane. So you want to just make sure your bot lane is shoving out, roam over, group with your team, and then look to start a team fight in the mid to late game. Now, if your team is going even with the enemy team, if there's not a clear advantage for your team, or if your team is behind and you are playing a strong split push champion like a Jax, a Fiora, a Renekton, then you should be looking to side lane. So if you're confident that you can win the 1v1, definitely look to side lane with those kinds of champions. You can draw pressure towards your lane, and if your team is behind, this is a really good way for you to just draw the enemy team towards you and allow your team to get an advantage. So if you're fed in the side lane and you can win a 1v2 with Jax or with Riven, then you can draw a member down, allow your team to have a 4v3 fight, and chances are if they're 4v3, they should be able to win that fight. Now, when you do get Baron, I would look to group a lot of the time, especially if the enemy team does have good engage tools. So if the enemy team has something like a Leona or a Nocturne, just really good pick champions, then just group with your team with that Baron, even if you are playing a split push champion, because a lot of the time your teammates aren't really going to respect the fact that you're split pushing and that you can provide pressure. They're just going to look to fight when they do have Baron. So just look to group with your team so it minimizes the chances of them getting caught out and you throwing the game. Now, if you are playing a strong split pusher and you do get Baron and the enemy team doesn't have any hard engage at all, say they have like a Teemo top lane, a Soraka support, then that's a lot better of a situation for you to look to split push, because chances are the enemy team is not really going to be able to engage on your team. So it's just going to be a lot less risky for you to look to pressure a side lane in that situation. So I think that split pushing and grouping is definitely a very intricate thing in League, and it's something that you can't really just pick up right away. It does take a lot of time for you to just understand certain matchups, understand certain team comps, and know when you should look to split or group, but hopefully those couple of things there, those few situations that are more generic, do give you a decent idea of when you should look to split or group. Now, the reason to why split pushing can be so strong is because it can draw multiple members from the enemy team over to your lane to try to stop you, but you do have to remember that if your team is not in the position to take an objective across the map, then there's really no point in you split pushing. You do have to make sure that you're not overextending in the side lane. If your team is in base or if they're walking to lane, you want to make sure that you wait to pressure until your team's in a position to siege a tower or to take Baron, because if you do end up getting collapsed on and your team is not in a position to take a tower or to take a Baron, then you've basically just wasted your time split pushing. Even if you do die in the side lane, it's not bad in a lot of scenarios as long as your team can get something on the other side of the map. So just make sure that you focus on where your team is on the map and then pressure depending on if they're at an objective, and if they're not, then look to back off and wait for them to get there. So number 3 is that most players will not play safe if their team is looking to make a play on the other side of the map. So if your jungler's down bot lane and he's ganking bot and the enemy jungler is not there, he's not counter ganking bot lane, chances are he's going to look to make a play on the other side of the map. He's going to look to force something, because if he doesn't and his team ends up dying bot lane, then your team is just going to get super far ahead. So you want to make sure that if your team is making a play down bot lane and you're not intending to teleport down to help them, that you just play safe and make sure that you don't die top lane, because if your jungler gets a successful gank down bot lane and you don't die top lane, then you're going to be very far ahead and your bot lane is going to be able to snowball that game really well. So number 4 kind of segues off of number 3, and that is that most players do not pay attention or do not play according to where their jungler is on the map. So focusing on where your jungler is looking to make a play is very important. If your jungler is making a play down bot side, or if he's clearing bot side, then you should be looking to play safer. Look to try to set up a freeze, because if the enemy jungler does gank you and your jungler's not there to counter gank, then you're probably just going to end up dying, or you're going to have to burn flash. So if your jungler's bot side, it's best to try to set up a freeze and try to play safer. Now, if your jungler is top side, if he's pathing towards top side or he's looking to invade the enemy's top side, then you should be looking to try to shove if you're in a favorable matchup. If you are playing a champion that does have good shove, then look to try to shove the enemy top laner into his tower and then look to roam down and help your jungler. This can be really important for the early game. If you are playing a shoving top lane champion, look to shove out if your jungler is going to be going for top side scuttle, so that you can roam down and help him secure that. So number 5 is that a lot of players do not know how to set up a freeze. Now, this could have its own video in itself, but basically the gist of setting up a freeze is that if the enemy minion wave has 4 more minions than yours does, then you can set up a freeze. And what a freeze does is it keeps the wave in a spot to where it's not going to shove into the enemy's tower. You can keep the minion wave at your tower or near your tower so that it doesn't end up shoving back towards the enemy. So for some examples to when you should look to set up a freeze, if you are in a more difficult matchup, then you should try to set up a freeze if the enemy does let you. Now, of course, in certain matchups, if you're going up against a ranged top laner and you're playing a melee, it is going to be hard for you to set up a freeze in those situations, and you're probably just going to have to let the wave crash into your tower. But if the enemy top laner lets you set up a freeze, say they end up like going down into the river to ward before the wave crashes into your tower, then you can prevent the wave from crashing into your tower, set up a freeze there in front of your tower, and just allow yourself to play safe in the lane. Now, if you do end up getting a lead in lane, then this is also another good time to look to set up a freeze. Now, this is going to depend though on what your jungler is looking to do. If your jungler is looking to go for an aggressive invade play, then I would look to stop your freeze and look to shove and just get prio there so that you can end up roaming over to help your jungler with his invade. If your jungler is playing to bot side though and he's not on the top side of the map, then that's a great time to look to set up a freeze, because you're going to be a less vulnerable gank target. You're also going to be able to deny the enemy a lot of XP and CS. So freezing when you get a lead is really important, and it can just do you wonders for extending your XP and CS lead in the laning phase. So number 6 here is that most players don't know when to use their teleport to gain an advantage in lane. Now, a lot of the time players are just going to use their teleport to get back to lane if they get chunked in the laning phase, but there's a lot more scenarios to where you can use your teleport a lot more strategically. So a really good example of a situation that's going to happen a lot of the time is that if you are fighting the enemy top laner, you guys both are low on HP, what you can look to do is you can base, you can wait for the enemy to clear out most of your wave, wait for there to be like 1 or 2 minions left in your wave. You can TP onto that minion, and because the enemy minion wave is going to be bigger than yours, there's probably going to be like 4 or 5 of the enemy minions, there's going to be 1 or 2 of yours. You can then set up a freeze because the enemy is not going to be able to contest you for that wave there. You're going to be able to stop it in front of your tower. Since you're going to be full HP, the enemy is going to be very low HP, and it's going to force the enemy to TP back to lane right away. If he doesn't TP back to lane right away, because you're setting up a freeze, you're going to be able to deny the enemy a lot of XP and CS in the laning phase. And then another scenario here, if the enemy laner is running Ignite and you're running the teleport, you can look to take smaller trades in the laning phase. A lot of the time you shouldn't look to go for these extended trades or look to go for an all-in, because if they have Ignite, they're probably going to beat you in the 1v1. But taking these smaller trades, chunking the enemy out, and then using your teleport to get back to lane, get the HP advantage, get like more corrupting potions. If you're running corrupting potion, then you are going to be able to give yourself an advantage in that lane by doing that. So number 7 is that most players don't ward far enough down the river or in the enemy's jungle when they are pressuring the enemy at their tower. So it's not a bad thing to pressure the enemy at their tower if you do have advantage in lane, but you just want to make sure that you are warding sufficiently. So look to plant a ward deeper down in the river, not just in the tri-bush and the bush below your lane. Those wards are going to be all right, but if the enemy is ganking you and you're shoved all the way up to the enemy's tower, you're not going to have enough time to react to the gank if you're only warding your bushes. Look to ward deeper down in the river to around where the scuttle crab spawns. You can also go into the enemy's jungle and look to get a ward on their buff if you can, if you do have time in lane. Also look to destroy the blast cone so that the enemy doesn't have a free gank path. So just make sure you are warding sufficiently depending on where you are playing in the lane. So number 8 is that a lot of players don't even use the bushes at all in the laning phase, or they don't know how to use the bushes to win trades. So if you're playing a ranged top laner especially, what you should be looking to do if you are looking to trade in the first few levels is look to play around the bushes. So by doing this, when you do end up trading with the opponent, as long as the bush isn't warded, once you like auto attack the opponent, look to dip into the bush, because what this is going to do is it's going to drop minion aggro, and you can take a lot less damage from minions in the laning phase if you are using these bushes. You can even use them as well if you are playing melee champions, so you can look to dip into the bushes as well, but it is a little bit easier to do if you are playing a ranged top laner. So number 9 is that most players continue to ask for ganks or play aggressive even if they do fall behind in lane. So I see this a ton on my Smurf account recently. Players will die in lane once, they'll be playing in a matchup to where they can't really look to do anything after they end up dying, but they'll still call for the enemy, or they'll still call for their jungler to come gank them top lane. But if your jungler ganks you top lane and the enemy jungler is there to counter gank, you're gonna 100% lose that, and you're gonna fall even further behind. So the best thing to do when you do end up falling behind in lane is to just allow your jungler to play to the other side of the map, play to his winning lanes, and just do your best to farm up, do your best to not die anymore in the laning phase. Now, of course, if the enemy top laner is like super low on HP and he's shoving all the way up to your tower or something like that, then it is a good time for you to ask for a gank from your jungler. But if the enemy is full HP, if you're not able to chunk him out at all and he is winning lane, then there's really no reason for your jungler to gank, because he's not really going to be able to get anything out of it. So number 10 is that if you are shoved all the way up to the enemy's tower and you are playing on blue side, what you can look to do is, as long as you do have a ward in your tri-bush, or you do have a ward in your bot river bush and your tri-bush, what you can do is you can look to run down towards the tri-bush, because the enemy jungler is probably going to look to loop around and gank you from behind. So you can walk down towards the tri-bush, and you can either continue to walk down towards the river if the jungler is not able to to catch up to you, or if the jungler does catch up to you and he's right beside you, what you can do is you can flash the large wall. Now, I would definitely go into practice tool and practice flashing this wall if you don't know how to already, but this is just a great wall to use to flash, and it's just going to give you a ton of distance on the enemy, and they're probably not going to be able to flash it themselves, especially in the lower elos. So if you are playing aggressive in lane, don't just walk all the way back towards your lane if you're getting ganked, because chances are you're going to die. The lane is super long and you're going to have to walk a super long distance. So by walking down towards the tri-bush and either flashing the wall or continuing to walk down the river, that's going to give you a better chance to survive in a lot of situations. And then on purple or red side, if you're at the enemy's tower and you know that if you just walk straight back to your tower, you're gonna die from the gank, then what you can do is you can look to flash the wall towards the blast cone. Then you can use the blast cone to jump over the other wall and go back to your tower, or use a gap close ability to jump over that wall. And this is just gonna save you in a lot of scenarios, because a lot of the time, if you're at the enemy's tower and you just walk straight back to your tower, you're gonna die to the gank just because top lane is a very long lane. So that is going to be it for this video, guys. Those were 10 common mistakes that low elo top laners are going to make. So hopefully this video does help you out, and hopefully you can look to practice at these things and get better at them to improve your top lane play. So with that being said though, guys, if you did enjoy the video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.